Hi everyone, and welcome to 2023 and the first episode of Open Your Eyes to the Universe for this year. I'm Gabrielle Martin, your host for this evening. Open Your Eyes to the Universe is a series of contemporary talks and conversations, meditations and interviews with people who inspire and uplift others by sharing their wisdom, sharing their insights and experiences to co-create a better world. And as we begin, the Youniverse team would like to acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples as the traditional custodians of the land upon which we meet. We pay our respects to the elders of the past, present, and those emerging, and acknowledge their spiritual connection to country. And we also acknowledge and respect the wise elder within us all and the collective wisdom of all those here this evening. And so here we are now at the beginning of 2023. Perhaps you've begun to consider what this year is likely to be for you personally, or maybe you've set yourself some things you'd like to change or enjoy, do more of or do less of, perhaps a new attitude or how you'd like to be. So tonight we're going to begin with a short video that circulated, I think it was about 2 years ago on YouTube, but in its essence, it is still inspiring and pertinent for any new beginning. So let's absorb it together.
Dear friend, do you mind if I have a word? It won't take much of your time, I promise. Let's skip the introductions, as we know each other quite well. Yes, it's me speaking. January the 1st. I know it hasn't been exactly easy since we last saw each other, but I'm here to remind you that we're about to meet again very soon. And so I thought I'd share a piece of advice. A word, really. But one that will help you get through the other 364 days with ease. And the word is movement. That's right, movement. I'd love to see you start the year doing just that, moving. And I don't just mean the exercise kind. I mean movement of the spirit, of the soul. Move. So you can move someone else's heart. Move so you can find the inspiration to create, to invent. You see, when you're moving, there's no time for fear, for doubts, because it pushes you forward, makes you stronger, wiser. So take my word, write it down on a napkin, put it in your smartphone. Movement inspires. And when put into action, it will make every single day of your year count. Starting with me, your friend, January the 1st.
Thanks for that. So movement, and not just outer movement, but movement of the soul, moving forward every day in our years so that we can become who we want to be as we move towards our personal sovereignty. And as it happens, tomorrow, the 22nd of January, is the Chinese New Year. And in 2023, we move into the year of the water rabbit. Tonight, I'm joined by Gayle Atherton, a Feng Shui master and meditation practitioner. In the elite world of Feng Shui, few Westerners ever achieve the respect and title of Feng Shui master from the Chinese. Having spent many years extensively studying in Hong Kong under Master Raymond Lo and other teachers, Gayle holds this honour. To date, Gayle is the only Westerner to have been invited and welcomed into the esteemed circle of Hong Kong Feng Shui experts, where her talents were recognised in 1996 by some of Asia's leading Feng Shui masters and grandmasters. More recently, Gayle was selected by a Singapore-based events company to be amongst the 8 most renowned Feng Shui masters in the world. Gayle specialises in building developments, corporate relocations and corrections for buildings with significant Feng Shui problems. And her clients range from leading Australian businesses to Hollywood celebrities to some of Hong Kong's biggest business empires. Notably, the Dalai Lama benefited from her expertise when she was specifically sought by the committee for his 1996 Australian tour to correct a bad area of his Sydney venue. And Gayle might tell us a little bit about that when we begin our conversation. Now, Gayle regularly provides consults in the USA, China, Canada, Hong Kong, Singapore, India, and Australia. She's invited as a regular guest on both television and radio, and is a writer for leading Australian publications, including the Wellbeing Astrologue and For Me magazines. In 2000, Gayle released her first book, Feng Shui, The Perfect Arrangement, Simple Secrets Unveiled. Now that sounds good, doesn't it? Which remains a very popular bestseller, continues to be a very popular seller. Gayle is known affectionately as the grandmother of Feng Shui in Australia, and she established the Australian School of Advanced Classical Feng Shui in 1994 and was the first practitioner to introduce Asian applications of Feng Shui and the Flying Star technique to Western practitioners in Australia. From 1994 to 98, Gayle was the president of the Feng Shui Society of Australia and was the guiding force behind creating a code of ethics for practitioners in a currently unregulated industry. And now on the regulated international scene, Gayle will join 7 other world-renowned Feng Shui masters to create the foundation for the first international professional body for Feng Shui masters and practitioners. Gayle's philosophy about Feng Shui is simple. In the true and authentic Chinese perspective, Feng Shui always keeps the bigger picture in mind, the person, their building, and their lives. Now that's a very wholesome approach, isn't it? So as such, Gayle is well placed to assist us tonight as we welcome in 2023 by exploring with us the spiritual resources required in this year of the Water Rabbit. So Gayle, a very, very warm welcome to you, and thanks for joining us on Open Your Eyes to the Universe. It's great to have you with us as we move into 2023.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. It's an honour to be here on the eve of the Lunar Chinese New Year.
Yeah, it's great to have you with us. Now, I'm not too sure on how many experts we've got watching this tonight in the area of Feng Shui, but I'd like to pitch it so that it's relevant to those who maybe know quite a bit about Feng Shui, and equally those who are novices like myself. So maybe if you could just begin by getting an even field here and explaining or outlining briefly the 12-year cycle of animals in the Chinese zodiac.
Well, the 12 animals rotate every year, and so it goes from the rat to the ox, and from the ox to the tiger, and from the tiger to the rabbit, and like that right through the zodiac. And in each of the years, the reigning animal sign for that year becomes what we call the Grand Marshal, or, you know, the energy of the year will reflect that animal sign, and also you know, bring all the animal sign characteristics to the year. So he becomes the supreme, or what we call the Grand Duke of that particular year. So yeah, and this year being the water rat. Now the water rat here,
rabbit.
Oh, sorry, the water rabbit. It's all right. You have no idea how much mathematics is involved in Feng Shui. So you kind of, I don't know, in Asia, it's very common for Feng Shui masters to sort of go, huh, what, you know, be talking about for half a minute on something. The water rabbit is a very interesting type of animal, you know, compared to an earth rabbit or compared to a fire rabbit, or, you know, the water rabbit is a perfectionist and very, very much into what we would call almost an eating god formation, where it's which means that the rabbit is very distinct about how the rabbit does things, and it's looking for perfection all the time. And in this particular year, it may be difficult to get perfection, but so trying to achieve perfection will, be the starting force for the year in a way. And as we go along, some of that will end up being left by the wayside, and we will start to look for not what's perfect. So we will let go of what is perfect in the world, or how we want the world to be in a perfect sense, and we'll begin to explore how do we want the rabbit to actually be in a practical sense.
Okay, so if I got this right, there's 12 animals in the zodiac, in the Chinese zodiac: rat, ox, another one you mentioned, tiger, and then
rabbit,
dragon, snake, horse.
Yeah.
What's after the horse?
Goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and then the pig.
Okay, so we've got these 12 wonderful animals in the Chinese zodiac, and then we've got these elements like water. You mentioned water, wood, fire, earth, and I know another one's metal. Just to give some context to it, what are these 5 elements about? What do they represent? Because this is definitely a water rabbit year we're in. It's not a fire rabbit or an earth rabbit, but equally the ox would be a water, wood, fire, earth, and metal ox, and so on throughout the 12. So tell us a little bit about these elements: water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. What do they represent, and what's their function in the zodiac?
Well, what we could say is that the 5 elements are the guiding force, or the moving force within the 5 elements of life. So the 5 elements are almost like this invisible part of energy, this invisible form of energy that goes through its own levels of strength according to the seasons. And so, for instance, at the beginning of the year, like in February, we're about to move into the beginning of spring, according to, the process, the way that the 5 elements move through time. So if you it's not always a literal science. So, for instance, in the Northern Hemisphere, it will be the beginning of spring. But in the Southern Hemisphere, it'll be the ending of summer. Our summer will be ending. So technically speaking, you could say that our seasons are running opposite. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's one thing, and in the Southern Hemisphere, it's something else. But this is actually almost like it's not a literal sense. The way that you could sort of explain it in the better way would be to understand that it's the waxing and waning of yin and yang. And, as when yin and yang are waning, they go through the seasons. So it's like the beginning, like at midnight at nighttime, it's all dark. So it's in a completely yin state. It's static. There's not a lot of movement. But as the sun begins to rise, then this brings out like the early morning hour. You could almost say the early morning hours, you could almost say, are like the springtime of the day. And then by lunchtime, you have the summertime of the day. And then by afternoon, you have the metal time of the day. And at night, you have the water element, or the darkness of the day. So, it's the universe is always operating within that sequence. So, that's literally what's going on there.
So, Gayle, if someone was born in the year of the water rabbit, their characteristics would be different from someone born as a fire rabbit.
Yes.
So run us through those, because it's the year of the rabbit. Let's stay with the rabbit for the moment, but it's equally applicable to the ox or the dragon, the horse, the snake, the rooster, the pig, the goat.
It's applicable to everything. And the way that a Feng Shui master would actually assess it is we would be looking at the exact moment that the water rabbit becomes the water rabbit. So the exact moment of transition time between the water tiger, which is last year and still at this moment, and well, actually, it sort of more goes by a solar thing than a lunar thing, but so we're looking at the exact moment of transition and change, and the very exact moment that the water rabbit becomes established as the water rabbit, and the month changes, the year changes, the month changes, and we look at the day of that year and we assess the outcome of that year, or that exploration of that year, according to how we see that, what we call a Bazi chart. So we actually are assessing it according to Chinese astrology.
Sure.
Yeah, and then that's going to actually tell us the balance of the 5 elements in this particular year, and it's going to reveal the type of activity that will go on in the year, and to a certain level it will predict outcomes. Like if you start to go into the months of the year ahead of time, then you can see what can happen in different months.
Okay, great. So if you could say in just a few words what the characteristics of a fire rabbit is and how that differs from an earth rabbit, metal rabbit, a water rabbit, a wood rabbit. Like they're all rabbits, so there'll be something quite particular about the rabbit compared to, say, the goat or the snake. But these elements, what difference does that make in terms of a personality, a water rabbit personality, a wood rabbit personality, and so on through the elements?
Well, actually, look, it works out on a thing that we call the Na Yin, which is almost like the sound of that that composition appearing in the universe. So it's based on a Na Yin, what we call a Na Yin. So there are certain elements of it that will always be in effect, but there's also the actual assessment of the year, and that's the thing that I'm describing today. So it has got a fixed element, but it also hasn't, because how that year ends up appearing according to the rest of the Chinese characters that accompany it, it's quite a mathematical arrangement, Yeah.
Okay, look, that's really helpful, Gayle. If that kind of sets some context for us anyway. We know we're talking about a 12 cycle and 12 different animals and the elements. Why don't we sort of zoom in now on this year, having set that framework for the Chinese zodiac? Let's look at 2023. It's the year of the water rabbit. So what's that actually going to be about? I know a lot of us are keen to know. There's been a lot happening in our world, and I've spoken with different people and had conversations with a number of people who have a little bit of a sense of trepidation around 2023. Others are quite optimistic, cautiously optimistic, perhaps I should say. But from from where you're sitting, Gayle, with your incredible, phenomenal body of knowledge and experience with the Chinese zodiac and Feng Shui, what's the year of the water rabbit all about?
Well, the year of the water rabbit is, there's a certain eccentric level that the water rabbit will exist, because it is a perfectionist. So it's like an artist. It's like an artist that starts to paint a painting, and as they begin to paint the painting, they already in their head, they're saying, oh, this has to be like this, and this part of the painting has to look like that, and it's got to have this color and that flow in the art and what have you. So when we describe the water year, we are going to consider it to be very much people trying to be able to come back to normal, and they have their set things that they want to see happening in this world. But the elements, or the 5 elements of the actual year, indicate that there is a real lack of resources going on with the water rabbit. And so the strength of the rabbit is weakened, and it's actually able to get tossed around a little bit, according to, it will get tossed around according to the months as it progresses through the year. And so one of the things that, Feng Shui masters would say would be something like, there's such a huge lack of resources, and it's very easy for the water rabbit to feel as though it is alone in the world, and very easy to quickly feel lonely. So almost the best way to do that is to connect with people of your like mind, and also begin to build up your resources. And those resources will be things like, how do I nurture myself in this year? What kind of things do I really need in this year? Do I need to take care of my health? Do I need to take care of my body? Do I need to take care of my family? Do I need to bring all of us back together to make that connection? So this year, to be able to live strongly or powerfully, or with, a little bit of splendor in the 2023 year, to bring yourself back to those resources, and to really clearly examine your life and say, what is going on? Because COVID has actually thrown everybody around for quite a few years. So we're in our 3rd year of being, thrown around by COVID. And so to be able to settle ourselves down a little bit and look at those dynamics. Now, one of the dynamics that exist in the Basi chart for 2023 is definitely that people will be what I would call as a meditator outside of their body. So they're very, very much into action. What's going on here? How much money have I got? They're looking at all the brass roots here, like, what have I got? What do I need? What's missing? How do I get what I need? Or even whether they really need that, whether that's actually, is the problem that they might be encountering, is it a spiritual problem or is it a physical problem, right? So that is actually a very important thing. So to be able to look at it in a way where because getting resources is actually almost a spiritual thing. On one hand, you could classify resources as being, help when you need it. Let's put it in a phrase like that. But at another level, it's actually, at a spiritual level, it's about comfort. Having resources is all about comfort and feeling comfortable within your own skin. And so in some ways that can be quite challenged, merely by the fact that this year it'll start off nice and gentle and what have you, but as it begins to move into the solar influences, which is the solar new year starts on the 4th of February this year. So we're having the Lunar New Year starts tomorrow. Today is, New Year's Eve in the lunar sense. But once the solar influences start going, people will start to be looking at what's going on and want something this, and they're trying to make their lives more balanced. So one of the ways that people try to make their lives more balanced is they start to seek things like, what kind of activity do I need to do to rebalance myself? And I need money. Money will help me to rebalance myself. And normally it will, right? But in this year, it sort of shows that the things that we really need are the inner resources to rebalance ourselves, because the year is very much lacking those things.
So that's quite an important comment there, Gayle. A lot of people are keen to know about their horoscope in terms of access to money, resources, obviously relationships. That's usually the first thing people want to know about, and health, of course, and so on. But and for good reason too. But let's focus a little bit on the spiritual resource. Can you tell us about the spiritual significance of the Year of the Water Rabbit?
Well, I think that there will be spiritual challenges in the Year of the Water Rabbit, just simply because the rabbit will start off in a particular way, but as we go along, the stronger that we come into those 5 elements of that particular chart means that we will come into a chart that is quite imbalanced. Now, it's important to understand that in Chinese astrology, when we look at a chart that's imbalanced, we don't necessarily see that as a bad chart. We actually see that chart, it depends on the breakdown of the chart, but we actually see that as something great that could happen, right? Or something a bit like, if you think about when COVID first came rolling in, we had an excess of water in those 2 years. We started off in 2019, at the end of 2019, and then we went, and then we went into the rat year in the following year, which was, water, metal rat. So, strong water year. And so that created quite a strong imbalance in that particular year. But even though we had COVID rolling out and it wasn't easy and it was a bit scary and a bit all over the place, at another level, there was certainly a level of control going on with that. And, so in a way, it's sort of, the COVID rolled out in its own way and it seemed very unbalanced, but actually it was more in control than you would think. And whereas this year, the emphasis is a lot more on money and financial aspects, because the fire element, according to the actual Basi chart, is the money element, and that is the strongest element in the chart. And that suggests that people will have to really start to reevaluate their financial situation and see where they're up to with it, and have a real reality check around money, because money is also a resource, but it's also about how you use those resources and how, if I think of even myself in a month, I probably make 20 purchases that are fantastic, and I'll make 4 or 5 purchases that are just, a waste of money. So, to start looking at the type of money that we're wasting and, what are we really doing? And that'll actually bring us back to what's actually going on here. And, so we'll probably start to look at, the reality for a lot of people is going to be that, wow, I'm short on money. and that means, you know, that's going to be a resource for them. So, you know, it'll be a big reality check around money and not wasting money, you know, looking after your money and taking care of it and making sure it goes in the directions you need it to be to sustain you and support you.
And that's there's been a lot of commentary around a global recession, that we're moving into a global recession this year. Right.
And we're already, you know, we're already experiencing quite a significant inflation from the end of last year. I'm saying last year because for me, I'm already in 2023, you know, mode. But we will have to start looking at those finances, and finances are a big issue. Like, I mean, especially if you take into account, you know, certain countries trying to raise limits and, you know, on their national debt. So yeah, we are in debt as a world, you know.
So a big challenge for the water rabbit, year of the water rabbit, is around the resource of money, so fiscal resources. And what are some of the spiritual opportunities do you see in this year of the water rabbit? So focusing on spiritual opportunities, what do you see there, Gayle?
You know, sometimes you can look at a situation like let's just look at money. And we think that, you know, oh my gosh, I've got a money problem, so I've got to get more of it, right? That's the immediate reaction at a you know, at a physical level. I'm going to say it's a physical level because
cup half empty.
Yeah, we need it's at a physical level because we need things physically, like we need to eat and we need a shelter, so we need a nice a place to live in, you know, and we need to, you know, send our kids to school, and, you know, then we've got to buy their school textbooks, and so there's all these real needs, you know, we've got to put food on our table every night. So there are these real physical realities to a lack of money. So our immediate response is to look at how we can get more of it, right? So we're going to try and get more money. So you may even expect that, you know, I mean, if the whole world starts having that thought, you're going to have a sliding scale of people who want to legitimately get their money to people who want to work out how to rob the next bank, you know. So that's going to be the one reality of it. But when in fact what we're really looking for is resources. You know, we're looking for our spiritual resources, you know, and that can be things like, how can I tolerate this situation, you know? What is going to be the trick for me, you know, like there can easily be a lot of fear, but it also depends on the way that you use your thinking. Like if you keep seeing that you're losing something, then that fear becomes like a big lion in your head. Whereas if you start to think of the resources that you need, and you say to yourself, something will happen and I will get, you know, everything will be all right. My family will be okay. Something will happen and, you know, we will get what we need. So learning the art of getting what you need is a completely different spiritual experience to living with the fear of what you haven't got when you've still actually got some, you know. So sometimes when we go to run out of money, we've still got a bit of money, but we're already thinking it's gone, and that's because of fear.
And this lovely affirmation coming through there too, Gayle, around and you might want to do a meditation with us later on it, but this feeling that I will be looked after. That resources are there for me.
Yes, that's right.
So just moving into a little bit of another tack then. I love what you're saying about spiritual resources and where we need some of them, things that we could that we'll need to develop if we don't already have them, but things that will anchor us and move us through a horoscope that's strongly suggesting a weakening of resources, or needing to consider a multiplicity of resources rather than just thinking there's only one that's important, that being money. So, to start to think about resources in a much bigger way. So that's a lovely spiritual opportunity as well, like how spiritually enriched am I? And I think too, with a spiritual lifestyle, just it manifests in a very physical way in terms of simple living. A lot of the things that you feel like you must have or you need to have that have big price tags with them, you actually don't really need.
No, you don't. And also, what happens to the mind is that when we keep seeing the loss, when we can't start to see the loss, it disturbs the soul. It really disturbs. It's very disturbing for the soul. And so to be able to see what is happening now that is looking after me, to have that faith, and also, gratitude is always a good practice, to be thankful. Because, you can certainly stay a lot more patient if you are thankful for what you've got. And, like life, we have a lot of illusions about how life is meant to be. It's like it's a big Disney world, where, the right thing is meant to turn up at the right time and save us and what have you. But in reality, all over the world, think about it, what's going on in Africa, what's going on in, with all the kids that are starving, and what's going on with people that have had bushfires and have just lost their house, and what's going on with people who are living through flooding, and, which is some of the things that have been going on in Australia over the last, 12 months or even longer. And, so developing a greater sense of reality. And the only thing that can really do that is a spiritual eye view of it. A physical eye view of it is an illusion, because you've got more in your cupboard than you realize. And, if you begin to see it and hold it in the right perspective, you will be able to control your fear.
The still point within.
Yes, that's right.
So Gayle, are we, in terms of the water rabbit and the Chinese zodiac, and here we are, 2023, the year of the water rabbit, are we going to be more prone or more susceptible this year to things like greed? Limited resources, scarceness, it kind of brings out all the greed, or ego, or arrogance, or perhaps laziness or despondency. What are we going to be prone or more susceptible to any one of these sorts of things? What will we be susceptible to that we need to kind of look out for?
I think that facing the reality around money is an absolute big one. I do. Because we use money in a very illusionary way all the time, like, we've got to take our family on a holiday, and we've got to have this. So we've got all our little gotta haves in our head, got to have this and got to do this and got to be this, and, so some of that might start to fall away. And yes, it certainly appears with the level of that element in the chart for the 2023 water rabbit chart. It certainly appears like there could be a big dive on, world, right across the world, for let's get more money, let's get more money. Even now they're in the US, they're trying to raise the limits on their national debt. So, because they've run out of money, right? So, but it's not just happening in America, it's happening in many other countries as well. And so, beginning to look at, what's really going on here. Like, that money didn't just vanish, it was spent. So we're actually spending it, we don't really realize that we're doing that. So, to be able to bring it all back to the self and say, hang on a minute, I have those resources within me. I have my own inner wealth. You know, my inner wealth is things like all my virtues, my qualities. And what can I do with those? You know, how can I be resourceful with those? Because let's face it, you know, if you're in a situation where you're trying to go for a job, right? You can have a person that is at the job interview, you might meet, you know, there could be 100 people there for applying for that job, but you'd be looking for the person who has the best virtues that would suit that job. So, and those are our resources. So those are all the things that I can do about it.
Sure. So a good place to focus.
Yeah. Otherwise, if we stay focused on what we think, you know, what are all the bad things that could happen here, you know, that'll really take down the vibration of the world for sure.
Perhaps on that inner focus point, you'd like to lead us into a meditation about that, Gayle.
Well, actually, I've got a special Chi-Men meditation that people
great.
can do. So if you're at home and you've got your phone with you, you could open it up to the compass and get yourself to face the northwest and sit with your back to the southeast. And today we would be taking in all the energy and the very special formations of having our back to the southeast. And in the Chi-Men chart, we have certain special formations there that can help us become more noticed and help us be able to influence our own lives just merely by using our own virtues in a positive way. So this is the new currency, everyone. The new currency is your virtues.
Gayle, just backing up a little bit there for a moment, just remind the viewers, because they will have all got their phones out now and checked, got the compass ready. So
you're going to face the northwest and your back will be towards the southeast.
Great. We're with you.
And at the southeast in our Chi-Men day chart for this day, we have the prosperity door. So, and we've also got the moon deity. So what we would be asking in our mind, in our mind's eye, is we would be having a meditation. So I will take you through a sequence and we will be asking to see what we need to do at every moment and to remain in a prosperous state of mind ourselves. How about that? So would you like me to start?
Yes, we're ready indeed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will we have any music or I'll just do it?
There's an image on the screen that will come up and your voice.
Alrighty. So allow yourself to sit very comfortably and let your eyes, if you can, let your eyes stay a little bit open and tilt them down just gently so that you're looking down, slightly downwards. And now don't let your eyes go too far down because you'll feel sleepy. And if you leave your eyes straight up, you'll start thinking. So if I put my finger in front of my face like this and I let my finger go down, roughly around here, my eyes can sit and just click into a comfortable groove. So allow your eyes to be tilted down slightly. And now let's just take a few deep breaths. So I will breathe in with my back to the southeast, facing the northwest. I will breathe in, and then I will breathe out, and I'll breathe in, and I will slowly breathe out. I will breathe in once more, and I will slowly breathe out. And as I allow my eyes to focus, just gently tilted down, I begin to observe that in that position, I'm aware of everything in the room that I'm in. I have an awareness of everything around me. And so I can begin to make the connection towards all of my life in the future. And I can see myself learning about the powers, the virtues, and the strength that I have within me at this moment and at every moment in reality. And I allow myself to breathe in and breathe out, and breathe in and breathe out. And as I breathe in, I begin to look at my future ahead, seeing myself in a powerful stage of being able to manage with all my strengths, all my virtues, all my inner powers raised within me. And I can see that I am a very, very capable person. I am a capable soul, a being that has such a reserve of inner resources. And as I breathe out, I let go of all those fears and those misconceptions and the old way that I'm seeing things. And I let go of those ways so that I can focus on myself going forward, a strong being of light, a strong soul, a resourceful soul, a powerful soul, a courageous soul, a fearless soul, a being of light that has the capability of moving into uncertain times and remaining steady and stable, remaining strong and powerful and filled with virtues such as tolerance, patience, understanding, and being able to see where somebody else is at and having the wisdom to know what to do at that moment. And as I observe those things, I begin to feel my own inner wealth becoming stronger, because I am a powerful soul when I can see the unlimited side of life in a positive way. Then I can receive the comfort that I'm looking for, that I already have. within. And I can allow that prosperity to come to me, that inner wealth and inner being of unlimited resources, an unlimited attitude, and an ability to awaken my own intuition within, so that I am always protected at every moment, just by centering myself within the body and allowing myself to hover within the body and feel myself as a soul, a being of light, a gentle, loving being of light with unlimited resources, unlimited potential. And I can break down those barriers of fear. I can break down all the illusions of old thinking, and I can let it go. And as I let it go, it slips behind me and it goes long into the distance as I move forward with an unlimited consciousness and an absolute curiosity about my life and how things will come to me, how I will be taken care of, how everything will be okay, and I will be okay, my family will be okay, and all my loved ones. And as I begin to create this vision and keep it strong within myself, I am able to imbibe that into my being at a very deep level. And if I ever feel afraid, I can just take a moment to step aside, step back from situations, allow my eyes to stay open and tilt down slightly so that I become aware of everything that's going on around me. And I can begin to tap back into my unlimited abilities, my spiritual virtues, my knowledgeful way of living and knowing what will happen, my intuition, my strengths, and my connection to the universe, to God, the universe, at every moment in time. Gently allow yourself to come back. Let the eyes look around and see that you've been able to create almost a physical sense of power and strength within you. And so the secret to a lot of challenges or obstacles is always about how you talk to yourself in that moment. And so I invite you today to learn the art of talking to yourself and connecting with yourself in exactly the way that you need, so that you can do anything you like. You have any power, any strength, and any ability to do the best thing for yourself at that moment. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Gayle. It was a lovely journey that you took us on in terms of turning within and tapping into those inner resources, the kind of resources that we know we're going to need in this year of the water rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to, just got some chats coming in here, but before I turn to that, I'd like to start a bit of a conversation with you about Feng Shui. Could you just, we've got a few more moments left, but if you could just outline to us what Feng Shui actually is and why it's such a useful spiritual tool.
Well, Feng Shui, if we were to divide our building into 8 sectors, we would find that in each and every one of those sectors, we have different energies. And those energies are made up of timeliness, 5 elements. So, for instance, one of the things that we are on the brink of in this particular year of the water rabbit, this is a changing of time. And so in Feng Shui, we know and understand that life cycles of particular types of life qualities go in 20-year cycles. So for the past 20 years or 19 years, this is our 20th year that we're in right now. For our past 19 years, we have been in what we call a period 8, which which has been a very wealthy time on Earth and a very resourceful time on Earth. And it's also been like a strong, it's had a strong hold on younger people coming forward and living their lives, and but now we're about to move into a new time era, and the new time era is what we call a period 9. So we're going from period 8 to period 9, and in period 9 there will be just absolutely magnificent change, where we will have, if I could describe one word that would describe almost the whole context of period 9, I would use the word insightful. And being able to spiritually see what is actually going on right now. And if you think about it, you can only see what's going on and make a better life when you see what's going on that you don't want to have. So, it's the turmoil in our life that inspires us to work towards the peace in our life. Does that make sense?
Yes, so we're moving from a time of a lot of resources, 20-year period of a lot of resources, coming to an end, and moving into, tell us a little bit more about insightful, like what do you mean by that? Because it sounds a little, you say a little bit more about that one.
Well, these time periods or these time eras, these 20-year time cycles are represented by the trigrams from the I Ching. So we have come from Gong, which is the youngest son, and now we're going to Li, who is the middle daughter. And the middle daughter is a very astute, intelligent woman that has insightful vision, and is actually a person who is able to have a very high level of intuition and insightfulness. So it's like it is actually almost the shape of the eye, that trigram, but it has got, its makeup is such that it is like a woman who is young, understands what's going on, and can see the future. And so this coming time ahead means that a lot of things will come to be known. You could say that we will be able to see what's going on in a better way than what we've ever seen before, because whilst we're caught up in lots of money and doing everything we want. And I'm not putting that down, because every soul has got their own destiny, and they have their own things that they need to fulfill in their lives. But whilst we're in that mode of looking outside for things, we can't really see from the inside or evaluate what's actually going on in front of us. So that will be the difference of change from a period 8 to period 9. That's one of those differences.
That's very energetically different.
Oh, very energetically different.
Hugely.
And so in period 8, that whole time era is ruled by young men. So younger males and intelligent males, and men who are capable of doing those jobs. And now we're about to move into the time of the woman, and this is a woman who is thoughtful and sees what's going on, and actually creates a level of expectation that the world can coexist together in a more harmonious way. So period 9 will be about bringing things out into the open and being able to evaluate them, and then even decide upon them, because there's a lot of critical things going on in the world at the moment. The environment is in a huge state of distress, even all the wildlife, the animals, everything, even for us, we're in so much turmoil over unnecessary overthinking. Our whole lives is, you've got to think about, if you've got 4 children, you've got to think about how they all get to school and how they get to their lessons and how they're going to get back home and what you're going to cook for dinner. And so there's just so much thinking, and overthinking like this, or let me put it to you like this: thinking in a way where you are not able to maintain your peace, because you're under so much stress to do so many things at the same time. It leads us to going outside of our bodies. And whereas, if you were talking to some of the Buddhist monks, they would, or even, any different sort of religion that has that practice of centering themselves and observing what's going on in the world. So I'm using the term of Buddhist monks because out of many religions, Buddhist monks do have that practice of centering themselves and being able to look out and see what's going on, because they're in a state of peace. And peace is actually a very, very, very important experience for us. And if we don't get enough of it, then we lose ourselves. Whereas if we do get enough of it, then we know ourselves. And
yes,
that's the difference.
So this movement from the 8th period to the 9th period, that's sounding energetically like a huge transition, which I'm sure it's going to be huge, and manifesting in a very physical way as well. So it's energetically and physically, of course, they go together. So simultaneous, is it a simultaneous kind of process?
Yeah, I mean, it's already been happening, it's already been happening. This energy started to emerge around about 2017. So, it's already been happening for some time. And women learning how to come out in the world in a way where they will be, we've got a big plane going over here, learning to come out in a way where they are they are able to nail what's going on, and they're able to say, well, we don't want this to happen. We want this to happen. We want to take care of everybody. Everyone's our community. So we don't want to leave people out, and we don't want to leave, we don't want to have this going on and we don't want to have that going on. It's a bit peace, love and flowers, but actually our world is really out of control with not taking care of people and not being able to create community properly.
Right. So a breaking down and a building up. A breaking down and then a movement into greater connectivity, a sense of belonging, community, engagement. Yeah. That's a very powerful equation, and this is happening in the year of the water rabbit.
This is our last year of period 8. So yes, and this is also one of the reasons why we will likely have a bit of turmoil throughout the water rabbit year, because it's like any type of change is going to bring turmoil, and that is actually how we reach our destination. So we're always, one of the very hidden things in human life is how we all have our own destiny. And so I'm not meant to do what you do, and you're not meant to do what I'm doing. We have a unique destiny, and a destiny means a destination. So, to be able to recognize that each person has got their own destination, and actually we're like a bunch of jewels, because we all have such different specialities, that we are an incredible resource just as people. What I can't do, somebody else can do, and what somebody else can't do, I can do, So, but we are always heading towards our destination. Our life is moving in a forward motion. So we are always heading towards our destination.
So, Gayle, could you just, before we close, there's a couple of questions I'd like to pitch. One is, could you, what kind of things could we do this year to improve ourselves spiritually within the context of Feng Shui?
Well, there's a couple of things. One of the things, like each year there are different influences that affect our buildings, and these have the greatest bearing on whether our life goes up or down, basically.
Right.
Because they are the most current and the most virulent energies, so the water rabbit year is going to bring in its energy locations. So there'll be 2 locations to take care of, and so that means that we get a blend of positive energies and we get a blend of negative energies, right? So with the negative energies, there are 2 negative energies that would be great for people to fix. And the fix for those remedies would be to use, get yourself a big jar and fill it with salt and add water to it, and make 2 of them, and put one in the northwest and put one in the east. So the east one has got the sickness star, the sickness energy in it, and the northwest one has got the bad luck energy in it. So if you're a little bit you don't quite know how to do that, and you come to fengshui.com.au and just contact me, I can give you a little handout for that, or maybe I can pass a handout on to you guys, and to make that available to everybody.
So if you could just say that web address again, and Jan will type it into the chat box. The web address was
Feng Shui, so fengshui.com.au, and just find the contact form on the website and contact me and ask me for the saltwater remedy.
Salt water remedy.
But basically, if you get yourself a jar and you get a great big bag of salt and almost fill it up to the brim of the jar, and then place one in the east and one in northwest, and that will help to reduce those two negative energies. And we always operate a lot better when negative energy, when we don't have to deal with the negative energy, right? Now, I'm a big believer in learning tolerance, but I'm not a big believer in sleeping in negative energy, or, you know, so that is actually a remedy that you can use in those two locations, and they stay there for the whole year, and then you can take them out in January of 2024.
Don't change the water or anything.
You can change the water, but if you renew the whole remedy, you need to sort of throw all the salt out and start again, you know. So just get another big bag of salt and put the salt back in and the water in, and just, you know, normally the way we maintain a remedy like that is we top it up with water as it goes along. So if we see the water, we see it evaporating, we just top it up with water.
Right. So the jar's not lidded.
No, the jar is open.
Jar's open. Yeah.
The jar is open to the atmosphere.
Right.
And
here's a question. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, keep going. Try and what?
All I was going to say was, if you are able to, I'm just diving for a compass here. Hang on for a sec. If you're able to put one of those salt water remedies somewhere around about 90 degrees on your compass, and then for the other remedy, I'm just going to give you a degree. So let's say somewhere around about 315 degrees on for the northwestern one.
Right. That's really helpful.
Yeah, those are two good locations to add them.
Thanks very much for that tip, Gayle. I'm going to try it. Now, here's a question that's come in. How you actually have answered this, so I will pitch it, and maybe you could just do a summary of it, because it's obviously on people's minds. How can we activate our energetic field to attract more income or to open a new income?
You know something? When you meditate, like I've been meditating for 37 years, so I don't advertise my business, but people somehow find me. I mean, admittedly, I do own fengshui.com.au, so that'll bring a certain amount of people, but the reality is that when you build your own soul strength, you know, when you start to prosper, you can have more money. And when your consciousness is in poverty, you'll have less money. So, you know, and the other side of that reality is you don't always need money to have money. You know, you don't, sorry, I'll say it another way. You don't always need to have money to be a prosperous person. When you begin to know who you are on the inside, and that's like, you know, when you know your strengths, when you know your weaknesses, and you start to work with both. So you can make your strengths quite naturally stronger when you actually work on your weaknesses. So it seems like a reverse way of thinking and doing, but the truth of the matter is, if the soul is not in a state of prosperity, no matter how much money it gets, it'll just blow it, because it's empty. The soul is empty because it is not connected to the one thing that it really needs, and that is its own spiritual wealth.
Thank you, Gayle, for answering that so succinctly and also so deeply within that spiritual context. So thank you for your response there. We've got another 5 minutes for a meditation commentary. Would you like to lead us in a second live meditation commentary, bringing in those beautiful comments that you made about Feng Shui? Thank you, Gayle.
Yeah, all righty. So let's just get comfortable at the moment. If you're sitting with your back to the southeast, you can stay in that position and allow your eyes. So keep your little finger in front of you and allow your eyes to just tilt slightly downwards. And you'll notice that your eyes just click into that comfortable groove. Now, as I have the practice of looking out through the eyes, I begin to take a breath in. And I breathe in all the richness and beauty and strength. And as I breathe out, I let go of all my tension, everything that just happened today. I let go of my conflicts. I let go of my arguments. And I let them all slip away in the distance behind me. And go, and I watch them go through the eyes. I watch them go long into the distance behind me until I can no longer see them. And as I look ahead through my third eye, I can see the image of myself surrounded by golden light and in a stage of perfection, in a stage of pure essence, pure soul strength. And I can see that I am a being that is connected to my own truth. And as I look a little bit behind, I can see that all the things I have been trying to do in my life, I have always been trying simply to do something good. And as I look slightly behind me, I can see how I've been struggling and reaching for things that have never come to fruition. And as I allow myself a speck of light, golden white light, to sit behind the eyes, I feel the strength of the soul and who I really am. I, the soul, and my personality, not my physical personality, but a personality of immense value, beautiful virtues. I have calmness, I have beauty, I have spiritual strength, I have an open third eye. I can see the future and I can see the past. And I can even tag all the times where I have struggled simply because I have changed my consciousness. I have lost the consciousness of my true self. And I have just simply been trying to make my life better by dealing with everything at a physical level instead of the beautiful spiritual level, the easy level, the level of lightness and calm, the level of peace and tranquility, the level of strength and certainty as I see myself through the lens of an unlimited consciousness instead of seeing the limitations of the life that I could be having. And so as I move forward in my life, I allow myself to connect to the spiritual beauty that I witness in myself as a being of immense value instead of a doing. And so as I reset my values and honor my being, I give myself the permission to be, to learn, and to grow, to strengthen, to value, and to hold. And I hold on to this moment, and I allow this moment to stay with me. And as I absorb that moment, I feel in comfort because I am finally connecting to me. Om Shanti. And allow yourself to come back and gently retain the peace that you've gained and hold it with you as you go forward.
Thank you, Gayle, for that. It was another lovely commentary. Thank you very much. And I'm particularly appreciative of your wisdom and the generosity this evening with which you shared your wisdom. So our deep thanks to you, Gayle, for who you are and for all that you've achieved in your lifetime and perhaps many lifetimes before that, and have come on Youniverse to share that wisdom with us. So our thanks, our blessings and our love to you. Thanks so much. It's been lovely having you on Youniverse.
You're welcome. Have a
And don't
lovely
forget,
everybody.
yeah. And don't forget, if you want to get in touch with or follow up with any of this, you can actually check out the website. Gayle, would you just remind us the website, please?
It's fengshui.com.au.
It's beautiful. So a few appreciative comments coming in. Thank you for sharing your lovely energy and thoughts with us, Gayle. Great to see you again. Om Shanti, and thank you. So many appreciative comments coming through. So there we go, setting us off to 2023 and watch it unfold. And let's see, we might have a little bit more opportunity to share some insights with you, or to listen to your insights as we move into 2023.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting.
It will. Another one coming through. Wow, thank you both very much again. What an exquisite gift this was. So lots of appreciation and blessings coming in, Gayle.
Fantastic.
Okay, so viewers, you might like to browse our online bookshop, Eternity Inc., which has a full online range of books on self-empowerment and spirituality, and always at not-for-profit prices. So do check that out. You'll get some great gems there. And if you'd like to subscribe to Open Your Eyes to the Universe to receive monthly updates, then please email us. And you can email us at special.events@au.brahmakumaris, all one word, .org. And need to let you know that please take note that we will not be having a Youniverse in February. So there will not be a February episode of Youniverse, and that's because many of us will be at our headquarters in Mount Abu in India and not available to do the IT from there at that time. So we're going to join you again for our next episode, and it will be in March, Saturday the 25th of March 2023, and it will be at the same time, 6 p.m. AEDT. So until we see you again, on the 25th of March, take care, walk lightly on this earth, stay tuned and stay true to your 2023 promises, and continue to move forward on your journey to personal sovereignty. Good night and Om Shanti.
Growing and newness. Newness comes from openness to learning, from going beyond what is comfortable, beyond what is convenient and customary, to move beyond the blockage of old habits and accept the challenges for change. Newness comes when we are willing to explore new dimensions and accept new perspectives. Then there is freshness and motivation in life. Otherwise, we remain stuck where we are. We feel pinned down to a life that becomes progressively meaningless. To initiate newness, first, let me plow the earth of my consciousness with an openness to learn. Then, according to my interest or need, let me sow the seed of a new thought, a new insight, a new aim. For example, the seed may be of seeing myself as a positive, confident person, or it may be the seed of creating a genuine cooperation with my work colleagues. Whatever the seed, let me plant it firmly within my consciousness, and then water it with constant attention, and let it receive the light of a positive attitude at all times. Gradually, the seed will grow. As it grows, its strength develops, and to keep developing the seed, attention and the positivity of my vision must be there. Otherwise, the insects will come. The insects of doubt, hesitation, and carelessness will eat it away, and I am left just with an empty hope, a dream which I cannot realize. With loving and faithful care, the seed grows and keeps growing till it flows throughout my being, filling it with the fruits of contentment, joy, and purpose. The flowing never stops, and it pours onto others, and they too experience a joy, a peace in my presence. And as the flow gathers in my mind and in my heart, then it flows from my eyes, from my face. There is a radiance of gentle, sacred light, like the light of an angel, a light that enables others to feel respected, loved, and it especially inspires them to also sow positive seeds within themselves and to become the same. This glow of inspiration helps others to achieve the best in themselves. This is the work of the angels. This is the newness that is required at this time.